Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Casablanca-Settat in Morocco. I feel like everyone knows the city Casablanca mainly from the film, which is one of my favorite movies. Ignore my kitten outside. One of my favorite all-time favorite top movies. It's so great. Let me show you real quick, show you just how nerdy I am. I have on one of my keychains, which I took a lot of stuff off to show you guys, this keychain here, which is from the Academy Museum in Los Angeles, the Academy Awards Museum, and it's Rick's Cafe American. Rick here's his face has been ripped off. So sorry. And there's Sam on the piano. And yeah, it's my little Casablanca keychain. I like it because it looks like an actual little souvenir that you'd get at an actual, place that you visit. I love it. I love this movie. It's so I won't spoil it, but it has some all-time great lines, all-time movie quotes. It's a wonderful film. But let's talk about the actual Casablanca, because that movie is fictional. The setting is real. The situation that is centered around the movie during World War II is real. But the rest of it is fiction. So let's talk about the actual city of Casablanca, which is actually the largest and the most densely populated city in Morocco. The capital, Rabat, is just right nearby, but Casablanca is the most populous. Fun fact. This region lies along the Chawia coastal plain, between the Atlantic Ocean coastline, which of course we'll look at on Google Earth, and the Big Atlas Mountains, more inland. This area here, the coastal plain. And the region is called Casablanca-Settat. It was reorganized a bit recently. So Settat is located right here inland. So they're all both part of this region. El Jadida, right here on the coast, though, is an also very important city in this region due to its history. And its history has given it a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So let me grab my tablet and I can read to you the entry about, make sure you can see it all, the Portuguese city of Mazagan, or El Jadida as it's known today. The Portuguese fortification of Mazagan, now part of the city of El Jadida, 90 kilometers southwest of Casablanca, was built as a fortified colony on the Atlantic coast in the early 16th century. It was taken over by the Moroccans in 1769. The fortification, with its bastions and ramparts, is an early example of Renaissance military design. The surviving Portuguese buildings include the cistern and the Church of the Assumption, built in the Manueline style of late Gothic architecture. The Portuguese city of Mazagan, one of the early settlements of the Portuguese explorers in West Africa on the route to India, is an outstanding example of the interchange of influences between European and Moroccan cultures, well reflected in architecture, technology, and town planning. There's some great, this page apparently crashed. Let me try to pull it back up. But as I was saying, there's actually some really great photos of this place on Google Earth. Yep, it looks like UNESCO just went down, so that's too bad. Let's move that out the way then. Their whole website, I guess, doesn't work anymore. I'm sure that'll be fixed in a minute. Very bad timing for me. But yes, there's some great photos on Google Earth, so we'll look at those later in the video. Let's talk about the history of this region, mainly just the history of the city here. So there were some Phoenician settlers sailing through the Mediterranean Sea from the Levant, from what's now Lebanon, settling all along the coast of North Africa. But the indigenous peoples of this area were the Amazigh, and they would have built a settlement in what is now Casablanca by the 7th century BCE. It was part of the much later kingdom of I just butchered that name. Bergawata, from the years 744 into the 12th century, where they were slowly broken down by various other people groups, mainly like the Almoravids and other peoples around this area of what's today Morocco. Many Arabs started to move into the area from the east here. They conquered North Africa, mixing with the indigenous culture, creating the very wonderful culture of Morocco today, very distinct from the rest of North Africa, in my opinion, in culture, food, what have you. Probably due to this mixing of basically East and West this time, right? Amazigh cultures and Arab cultures. Of course, that happened across North Africa, but I don't know, I feel like Moroccan buildings are just like Moroccan food, so on and so forth, is just so distinct from Algerian and Tunisian, what have you. In my opinion, you can disagree with me if you want. That's my opinion. This city, though, became a hub for piracy here in the Atlantic Ocean as the Spanish and the Portuguese were sailing by their way around Africa to get to India and the Spice Islands. Portugal apparently had enough of this, and they came in 1468 and completely destroyed it. Now, hold on. I left out something very important. I just realized. Going way back, the Amazigh settlement would have been called Anfa. That word is still thrown around a lot today. It's kind of interchangeable, from what I understand, with the name Casablanca in the city today. So it wasn't called Casablanca then, it was called Anfa. I should have said that ages ago, my bad. So yes, 1468 they came and just destroyed the entire city to stop the piracy. I guess that gave Portugal an invitation to come and settle this coastal area. That is when they established that fort here. You can see Mazacan. That would have been built in 1502. In 1515, the Portuguese would build a settlement here that they called Casablanca, which of course, once the Spanish got more involved in Morocco, they would call it Casablanca because it means White House in Spanish. Casablanca means White House in Portuguese. The name, I guess, stuck. It was not a significant port, but not a minor one either. It was utilized a lot by the Portuguese and the local people around here. Until 1755, when there is a huge earthquake, and the town was pretty much destroyed, once again, this time naturally. I just realized there's like blue paint. Do you see this? How did I get paint on my map? At least it's in the ocean. I have no idea how that happened. But anyway, ignore that. Huge earthquake destroyed Casablanca, and the city was abandoned for quite a bit. It wasn't rebuilt until about 1790. And it was around this time that the Moroccans were like, let's get the Portuguese out. So that was when, like it said on UNESCO, they booted the Portuguese out of here, took over the city and named it El Jadida, which means the new town. But there was an issue with that area that the Portuguese settled because as Muslims, they believed that that area was unclean because it had been established by their infidels. So in 1821, they came up with a solution, and they made that part of the town the Jewish quarter. There's a very large Jewish population here, and Christians as well, but I feel like the Jewish people, I almost said the Judaism people, the Jewish people were the largest minority religion at that time. There's still lots of Jewish people around here. Many of them would leave for the US or Israel in the 1950s, 1960s, but that's jumping a bit ahead. We gotta talk about the French first. The French straight up invaded in 1907. Prior to this, a few decades earlier, many of the European superpowers got together in Berlin and made a big map of Africa and drew lines and decided who was going to get what. Morocco got split in two between the French and the Spanish. So the French came to claim what they thought was rightfully theirs. The Moroccans, of course, put up a big fight, but in 1912, they signed the Treaty of Fez. Fez is right over here, as in the hats, to make Morocco a French protectorate, and would remain so through World War II. After France was invaded by Nazi Germany, this area was controlled by Vichy France, basically a puppet state of Nazi Germany, which is when the film Casablanca is set. And you know what really amazes me about the movie Casablanca is that they filmed that in 1941. I think it came out just before the Pearl Harbor bombings happened, I believe. It was in early 1940s. So World War II was still raging when that film was made. Casablanca was still under the control of basically Nazi Germany at that point when that film was released. Very bold, in my opinion, to make a film about a conflict that was ongoing, because they didn't know what would be the result of that war at that time. And it's very pro-Allied patriotic. It's an American movie, right? So that's something to consider if you decide to watch that movie, if you've never seen it before, is that that film was made without knowing what would happen in World War II. But this area would not stay under the control of Vichy France for long. In 1942, the Allies launched Operation Torch, which was an invasion of northern Morocco here to get the French out. And it was successful. They booted the Nazis out of Morocco here and out of Casablanca and the surrounding area. In 1943, there was a conference here in Casablanca between the heads of each Allied power, except apparently Stalin didn't come. I guess he had bigger things to deal with at that time. I mean, they all did, but anyway. To come up with a solution to the wars on both fronts, and it was where they decided that the war could only end with absolute surrender from the Germans and the Japanese, and they would not stop until those were achieved, which is what happened. I also saw it called the ANFA conference in a lot of sources. Like I said, that name ANFA is still used quite frequently here, from what I can tell. This area really started to blossom and bloom in terms of population, buildings, industry, economy. Especially you could see this town here, Mohammedia, is basically an oil center. There's a big oil processing factory, I suppose, here, and it seems like this town has grown around the factory workers that live there and their families. So this area really started to grow even more so than before. There were many famous protests here in Casablanca throughout the 20th and into the 21st century, some of which wound up becoming riots. In 1965, there was a very large protest for higher education. I don't think that one was successful. but there's a big university here in Casablanca. In 1981, the cost of food, like basic food, bread and such, rose dramatically. There were large protests for that. In the year 2000, there was a large protest for women's rights, mainly things like women's marital rights, things like that, rights to divorce and all of that. And of course, 2011 was the Arab Spring. In many Arab areas around the world, well, mainly Africa and Asia, there were mass protests for change. Talked about that in a bunch of videos. So it's a very significant event across North Africa and into West Asia. But that essentially is the history of the Casablanca-Settat region here. You can't really see the lines. There's a lot happening. I tried to draw them in, which of course is very loose. It's not totally accurate. I'm not a cartographer. So why don't we switch gears? I'll go get my tablet and we will look at beautiful Casablanca on Google Earth. Let's go. Here we are in Casablanca-Settat. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Here is Morocco. You can see down here is Western Sahara. Last time I did a video about Morocco, it was a bit tense from the Moroccan side. So whatever you believe the borders are here, that is what you believe. We're not getting into it tonight. It has nothing to do with our region. But Morocco is located in North Africa. You can see the Atlas Mountains from above, this stretch of green crowning the Sahara Desert down here. And we are, of course, just a hop, skip, and a jump from Spain and Portugal, which we're actually going to both countries next week. So look forward to that. And then here's, of course, the Atlantic Ocean. There's the Canary Islands. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful Morocco. So let's take a look. Actually, we're going to start here. We'll check out Settat real quick, and then we'll spend the rest of the video in Casablanca. I really didn't find much throughout the rest of the area here, but you can see it's pretty dry and rocky. It seems like mostly just little towns and settlements here along this very fertile looking river before we head into the more greener coastal areas here. So just note that that's what it looks like over there. If you want, you can pull up Google Earth and look around. Maybe you'll find something. Or maybe you're Moroccan or you've been here and you know of a place that we should look at here. Drop it in the comments down below and we'll all check it out on Google Earth. Google Earth is free. Utilize it anytime you can. So we'll start here in El Jadida. And you can see it's a big city here. It is this area over here that was the Portuguese area. See the fortress walls? Portuguese forts, Spanish forts, etc. all had this little star shape to them. They're very distinct. So I looked around here. There wasn't really too much to see. So again, if you're Moroccan or if you've been here and have knowledge of the town, let me know if there is anything that we absolutely have to check out in the actual town of El Jadida. Because I didn't find, I mean, of course it's beautiful and wonderful and there's lots of things there, but nothing that like stood out that I have to show you guys. But we are going to look at the Portuguese area. Now I have to show you the cistern. It's absolutely beautiful. Apparently this was discovered in the like 1800s, like early 1800s, under the city, and they didn't know it had been there. It is this huge area underground. You can see where the water would come in and fill up with water for the Portuguese here. It's stunning. Really, really neat, isn't it? But yeah, here are the fortress walls and old churches. There's a cool art gallery. It looks like in probably one of the old Portuguese buildings. There's the beautiful coast, the UNESCO plaque there for it, the cannons. Up close up these old rusty cannons. Little cafe there. Pretty neat. Very cool, I think. When I was first researching, I was looking like, where is this Portuguese fort? Where is it? I don't see it anywhere. And then it was like, oh, there I could literally see the fortress walls. That's so funny. It's just like so obvious when you know where it is. But yeah, that is the Portuguese fort there. Let's see what we can find in Settat. I lost it. Wait. Oh, never mind. It's more over. There's Casablanca. And then, like, where? There it is. Goodness. I got lost for a second there. So it looks like Settat is mostly just a little center around this agrarian region here. There's some forests and things, but make sure we see the city here. There we go. It seems like it's just like a city center for the agriculture, for the rural parts of this region. Look at all the beautiful wildflowers. Looks like poppies or something. It's pretty. So it seems like a very typical, like, rural center town. I feel like every country has something like that. If each country has a rural farming area, you know. There's like the city nearby that has everything that you would need, but not the big city. I think that's Settat, from what I can tell at least. Let's go to Casablanca. So the most famous thing here in Casablanca, and you saw it in the intro, is the Hassan II Mosque. I believe it's the largest mosque in Morocco. Let me tap this to make that pop up. We'll look at the park later. And it's gorgeous. I think it said right there is the 14th largest mosque. This huge, beautiful minaret here with this gorgeous green on it. I love that shade of green. The inside is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I read that they do, this is where you do like ablutions or you wash yourself before prayer by the looks of it. I read that they offer tours to non-Muslims because it's a very important mosque. You obviously can't go during worship times, holidays, things like that. Look, it's right on the coast. But there are times where you come in, take your shoes off, and they'll lead a tour in certain parts of the mosque. Which is nice. It's nice that they allow, you know, everyone to come and look, because who wouldn't want to see this gorgeous building? Look at the details in the ceiling there. That is so pretty. And these chandeliers. It is a beautiful building. You can see why it's the pride and joy of the people here in Moroccans. You see people praying here. It really shows you how big this prayer hall is, huh? That people look so small. It's a beautiful building. Right here on the coast. Sadly, Casablanca's not in 3D on Google Earth. Or else we could see that big minaret sticking up. You can see its shadow there. Look at the ocean waves coming in and crashing along there. So, the Corniche area is, of course, along the coast. And we have to see, I think it's over here, yep, it's Rick's Cafe, which is not where the movie was filmed. This was built very recently, pretty much for tourists, people like me, who, if you come to Casablanca, you have to go to Rick's Cafe Americain. It opened in 2004. Bar made famous by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman in the movie classic Casablanca. So they made it look as much like the restaurant in the movie as possible. Oh, that looks really good. I'll eat any shellfish. Any shellfish at all. That looks pretty good too, a little dumpling. Yeah, it looks pretty accurate. The Rick's Cafe, of course, you have the piano where Sam would play. Yeah, you bet your bottom dollar that this is the first place I come if I visit Casablanca. Here's the bar. It's perfect. All the details, they got it just right. Ooh, ooh, that looks real good. Ooh, 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 ooh. They got some Casablanca, I think that's beer, which is unusual in a Muslim country. But I guess if you're running a bar, you gotta serve something. Cheesecake. Who loves cheesecake? I do. That looks good. Oh, look at that shrimp. Shrimp. Is that in caviar? What is this? I don't know, but I'll eat it up. I love shrimp. There's the back room where they gamble. They got Ingrid Bergman right there. But yeah, one of my all-time favorite movies is Casablanca. It's a perfect movie. But more to the actual history of Casablanca. Over here we have the Arab League Park, which of course now it doesn't pop up. I guess we'll look at the Mohammed V Square first. No. Arab League Park. No. Okay, there we go. Let's start with the Mohammed V Square right here. A nice bustling little center here, lit up all pretty there in that fountain. You can imagine there's lots of pigeons here. Lots of little snack carts. It looks like people in more traditional clothes there, but I bet you they're all dressed up for tourists. Probably trying to sell something. But that's in like every major city, isn't it? Big beautiful fountain here. Yeah, look, they're all dressed up in their finest. I don't know, or maybe they're just out on the town in their traditional clothes. That could also be. That's pretty tiles. Very nice. I feel like that's another very Moroccan thing. It's like Moroccan tiles, I don't know. That's just me. So over here we have the Arab League Park. You can see all down here. The Arab League, I believe, was created in Casablanca. So this is commemorating that. Big, looks like date palm trees. And look at this long fountain. Oh, these beautiful tiles. This gorgeous big space here. I bet you the wind from the ocean just all the way down that long avenue. Look at all this. This would be a fun place to take photos. Lots of birds of paradise growing there. Place for the kids to climb around. Lots of facts here. Looks like about the trees. And lots of space. It looks like the square nearby. Look at these. I assume this is an art piece, but I also assume that on a typical day there's kids crawling all over these, right? That looks like a fun thing to climb up and slide down. But yeah, you can see big city here. And we have to look at the beaches. I promised you we'd look at the beaches. I'm trying to decide if we should go. I guess we'll go over here. This one stood out first. There it is at night. Beaches at night just have a whole different vibe. And during the day, that looks like a resort area. Look at these wonderful waves. And the sunset there. So pretty. The walkway there. You can enjoy some nice ocean waves. You can see the big mosque over there. And splishing and splashing in that ocean water must feel so nice. I bet it's the right kind of cold. They're going to go surfing. They're going to enjoy those beautiful waves. They all brought out their umbrellas. There's a horse going by. That's a fun time at the beach. Wading out here at low tide. That's always so much fun. Get your feet all wet. There's a big long fountain and a horse ready to go and explore. Oh, and that's on a not so great day. That's a day you don't want to go to the beach. It's a bit windy and wavy out there. But of course, all along there, there's beautiful beaches and the long walkway around the Corniche area. Of course, there's shopping, McDonald's, the old lighthouse there. Wonderful, wonderful. Over here's the Medina. So we can look at the market here. So this would be kind of like the old town where you find the best shopping. You can pretty much get anything, but mostly lots of delicious things to eat. You can get some vegetables, get some nuts, get some clothes here by the looks of it. Western style clothes in that shop. These are shoes. I believe these are shoes. They're very colorful and wonderful. Yeah, these are shoes down here. Looks like little house shoes or something, like little chanclas. Oh, the nuts. Like every kind you can imagine. Lots of potatoes. Yum, yum, yum. Green beans. Some onions of every shape and size. These look like plates, and they're absolutely beautiful. With matching bowls up here, too, so you can get a whole set. Get this moon-shaped one for Ramadan. When you break your fast, be perfect. More chanclas here, some sandals, perfect for the beach. Get some meat there, we won't look at those too much. Some tahines here. Some traditional Moroccan bowls there, and more of the butcher shop. Gorgeous woodworks here. These look like little, I want to say chessboards, but they look really small. I'm not sure what game you play on those, but it looks very neat. The big ceiling up there as you run through the Medina. Well, not run. Don't run here. As you peruse the Medina and shop for pretty much everything you can find here. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the things I wanted. Oh no, never mind. The Royal Palace. That's very important. If you didn't know, Morocco is a monarchy. So here's the palace in Casablanca. Now it's still a private residence. You can't do tours of it. So there's not much to show you of the palace other than the exterior, right? Because it is still lived in. Looks like maybe they offer some tours at some point. Certain areas, kind of like they do Buckingham Palace, you know. There's the king right there. Beautiful fountain there. Isn't that pretty? All the beautiful tile work. That's what I mean. Like Moroccan tiles, just out of this world. Morocco and Portugal have really got tiles figured out. But yeah, gotta show you that, even though we can't really look at it. There's the Anfa Park. See that? And of course it won't go. Let's tap the palace again. Nope. Casablanca. Nope. The beach? Nope. This beach? Yes. Okay. Anfa Park. So let's see. Oh, there's a skate park there. Nice. There's a fountain. Oh, look at this. Beautiful flowers. I wonder if they have, whatchamacallit? No, I guess not. Oh, this looks like it, though. Like an arboretum or something. Yeah, big park there. That's pretty cool. Look. Museum of Moroccan Judaism. See, I told you. There's a long history of Jewish culture here in Morocco. Let's see what we can find. Oh my goodness, look at these clothes. Look at this big menorah, my goodness. Let's see. Oh, that's so pretty. What amazing clothes there. Oh, I love these more. I love that green. You can tell green's my favorite color, can't you? I always love a good green. Looks like a, I'm not sure. But yeah, little figurines there. I wonder what those were for. Oh, look at the Hebrew on this big vase. That's so neat. Yeah, I would like to go here and read what all these things are. Because I can see that there's like parts of the synagogues and things. Very cool. yeah, there's all kinds of things to see here in Casablanca. If you visited here, let me know. I want to hear your stories about it. Let's look at, oh, come on now. Come on now. Give me something. Here we go. Let's look at the main slideshow while we end the video. Thank you so much for watching. What was I saying? If you've been here, let me know, because I want to hear your stories, because I would love to visit this city someday. And yes, it's because of the movie. But also I want to see all of these beautiful buildings and eat some good food. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. The rest of the videos this week are going to be Google Earth only videos. You won't see my atlas. That's because the areas we're going to talk about the rest of this week, I did not find really a lot of history in these areas, but we're going to Colombia, Seychelles, and Burkina Faso. And actually the Burkina Faso one, I found some amazing things to show you on Google Earth there. So I've got some bonuses for you about Colombia and Seychelles. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. I hope you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good